hell of a career and you accomplished a lot of things. But your immediate impact right after the game was so different than I've seen from a lot of other guys. You quickly became engulfed inside of the community and started to pursue a coaching career. What made you, or what motivated you to go inside of coaching to be able to help these younger kids today?
Truth be told, the hardest thing for us athletes, especially professional athletes, is trying to figure out what you're going to do when you retire. That is the biggest thing. And I knew I wanted to continue to stay close to the game. And then once I retired, I gave myself a year to really understand, like, I want to recharge, re-energize, then I'm going to get back into it. So I sent home thinking, like, I have too much knowledge up here in this brain and have acquired too many things that I've achieved in my life. I can't keep it to myself. So that's the reason I started doing what I was doing, because I just think it was selfish of me to be around such great coaches, such great people, and they've instilled in me a lot of the things that I instill into the kids today. I've been selfish to hold it to myself. So I decided to start the Terrence Wide Receiver Academy, along with getting into coaching, just to give back to the youth, because I know that I had people that I looked up to, one here to my right, we all know from the same hometown, on the same high school team. So there's guys like Takeo and my brother that I looked up to. So I had to do the same thing. So I had to pay it forward to the younger generation as well. That's why I got into it.
And this next set of questions is powered by our friends at Essentially Sports. As UGA's all-time leading receiver, what was your most memorable moment playing for the Dogs?
I'm gonna give you two. If you don't know me, I've never played receiver in my life until I got to the University of Georgia. I was a quarterback.
I heard you were a phenomenal basketball player too.
As a basketball player, people that watched me grow up just thought I was gonna be a basketball player as well. So I never played receiver until I got to the University of Georgia. I was a quarterback in high school. Takeo was a senior, I was a freshman. I was the third string quarterback on that state championship team. So my very first game, I started against Utah State in 1999. Not playing a position. I went through spring practice. I went through summer practice. But I had 10 catches, 198 yards, and 2 touchdowns. God. In my very first game, very first catch was a Quincy Carter, checked off to a fade. My very first touchdown was like a 40-yard fade for a touchdown. Man, second game against South Carolina, okay, tougher opponent. Don't know what I'm doing whatsoever. I'm just out here playing. I love ball.
Hold on, was the Utah, you said Utah State?
Utah State.
Was that the first game of the year?
Very first game of the year.
Okay.
Very first game of the year.
Came out balling.
Second game against South Carolina, SEC opponent, I had 9 catches for 97, 2 touchdowns. I said, man, I'm about to win the Heisman. This is easy. This is easy. Let alone got tougher throughout that season, but those 2 games, just because those were my first 2, and then just to end my career at Georgia against Florida State in the Sugar Bowl, coming off at that time, one of Georgia's best seasons. We finished 13-1. Finished the season with 1,000 yards. The only receiver in Georgia history with 1,000 yards, and ended that game with a touchdown catch as well. So probably my first game and my last game is the 2 games that I remember the most.
You don't remember Ole Miss that year in '99? I know y'all beat it, but
yeah, I scored a touchdown in the game.
You got it.
I scored a touchdown.
Well, we beat y'all this year though.
Yeah, y'all did.
We're talking about back then too.
Yeah. What's your record against us in your playing day?
All right, what's the next question? 0-2. Matter of fact, 0-3.
There we go. See?
Did we win that one? You weren't there. That was '96. I think we got one. No.
I remember Robert busting an 80-yard touchdown at home, and Joe Neighbor is on the other side.
Yeah,
and,
Hines got a long one.
Yeah.
So he got hawked at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Well, we see some, Well, yeah.
Anyway, next question. I ain't got no wins.
Despite leaving Georgia as, at that time, the best wide receiver, when you look at just stats-wise, the disappointment came undrafted, short stint with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sure it had to be frustrating. But what inside of you at that time that really, what pushed you to even consider the CFL and to go up there and start setting records and become one of the greatest of all time when you talk about CFL wide receivers?
So that was, you know, doing what I did in the SEC, one of the best receivers to ever come out of this conference. 25 years later, I'm still in the top 10 in catches, yards, and touchdowns.
Nice.
Still after 25 years, 20 years later. And there was no way that I thought, you know, that my name's not gonna be called in 7 rounds. You know, there's not 30 receivers better than me.
Right.
So that was a really disappointing time in my life. But that didn't define me. Went as an undrafted free agent, just like Takeo said, made the Atlanta Falcons 53-man roster as an undrafted free agent. Beat out some of the guys that they drafted. So, you know, going on draft, I would love it. Every year around April, it comes back like, man, there's no way that I shouldn't have got drafted. But I look at it just like what my life would have been if I would have got drafted. So I really don't go back and dwell on it, because what if I'd have been a 10-year All-Pro? I don't know if I'd have started my Terrence at wide receiver academy. I don't know what I've done with my life. So I think God put me on a path that we're going to take you another path. So now you could give back to these kids, because I can't sit here and say if I would have had that career that I would want it, what I'd have been doing with my life right now. And I'm very pleased and satisfied with my career, because these kids mean so much to me, and seeing them achieve their goals, that's my name being called on draft night because of these kids.
You're talking about the kids achieving their goals. Terrence Edwards, Wide Receiver Academy. Talk about some of the guys that came through the program that doing their thing now.
So I got so many of that. I'm not one of those guys that you don't see me tweet about them. I don't have them all on a poster, because I'm doing it out of the true love. My first guy got drafted this year that really came through the Terrence Edwards Wide Receiver Academy. That's Jermaine Burton, that went to Georgia, transferred to Alabama. Now he's a 3rd-round pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. He started me as a 7th grader. My program, I really love developing kids from a young age. This signing class, I had 4 kids that started me in middle school. C.J. Wiley out of Milton High School that signed with Georgia. Travis Smith Jr. out of Westlake High School signed with Tennessee. Josiah Medulla out of Woodward signed with Virginia. And Damari Witherspoon out of Paulding County, tight end, signed with Cincinnati. So that's my joy right there. Getting text messages like, Coach, I appreciate everything you've done for me to get me to this point. That is what brings me joy in my life. And seeing those kids play on Sundays and Saturdays and Fridays, like, I know the grind that they put into it. I'm just so happy that I was just a small part. I'm not one of those guys that try to take credit for these kids. I'm just a small part of their development. That's how I tell myself, and I tell them, you did it. You had to go out there and perform. I just gave you the tools.